Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and ooh, that light is very bright. So, it's pouring rain and the power is out. Isn't that always fun? So what better time to do a video when you have no lights? I actually have a nice candle. Got a nice candle lit, but it doesn't want to show up on the camera, of course. So I turned on one of my lightsabers here on the wall, but the humming noise the lightsaber makes would probably drown out me talking. So plan 3 was to turn the light on the camera. I don't know if y'all can hear the rain or not. Or the thunder. It's been coming down pretty bad. Funny. The weather in Mississippi, I think I've mentioned this before, it is bipolar basically. Hot and sunny all day, hot and sunny all day, hot and sunny all day, then suddenly rain, 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 power goes out. I do believe the weather has passed bipolar and crossed into schizophrenia at this point. But, enough of that. Let's talk about the Fifth Doctor and kind of the tragedy of the Fifth Doctor. Because if you think about it, the Fifth Doctor goes through a lot. One of my subscribers mentioned this, I think in the Romans Part 2 review. Icrip, I think was his name. He talks about how much loss the Fifth Doctor endured. And I'm going to take a lot of what he wrote, and I'm going to talk about it in this video, because I had never really thought about it like that until I was reading it, and I realized, you know what? He makes a lot of sense. Icrip, I think that's how you say it. Or Icrip? Icrip. It's how it's spelled. But he makes a lot of sense in what he says. The Fifth Doctor is kind of like the modern Doctors in a way, because the modern Doctors suffer a lot. They go through a lot of crap, the way they lose companions, because, I mean, let's be honest, in modern Who, 90% of the companions leave in a depressing way. Whereas in classic Who, it wasn't as bad about that. So you look at the Fifth Doctor, and he's this young, kind of hopeful, a little bland, preppy-ish, again, young Doctor. But you look at the losses he's endured, like Adric dying, which again, in classic Who, was a rarity for a companion to actually die. Especially when you consider his death is a needless death. I mean, if you've actually watched Earthshock, he didn't have to die, he could have left. There was no reason for him to stay behind. And his death was completely needless. And so he has that loss of that, especially since they've been arguing at the beginning of that story. Because the Fifth Doctor and Adric never got along, to me, as well as the Fourth Doctor and Adric did. There was always friction between them. So the Fifth Doctor is probably dealing with that, and that, you know, having that star that he uses on the Cyberman at the end. And then you look at some of the other stuff he endures. Of course, Nyssa leaves, and a lot of companions leave. I mean, companions do leave, but you look at the place she stayed at with the, you know, whatever the disease was there, the leprosy or whatever. You know, that's not a happy future for her, for sure. And then you look at the betrayal of Barusa. You know, Barusa was a trusted, possibly friend, but at least a mentor to the Doctor. Someone the Doctor respected. Barusa had been in several stories before, so the Doctor trusted Barusa more than I think he would trust most Time Lords. So the betrayal of Barusa probably weighs on him. And then you also have the way Tegan left, especially coming right off of that with Planet of Fire. I think that's, hey, boo. You know, like in Planet of Fire, when he gets a little short with Turlo, and he's like, look, if you're lying to me and you're not being 100% honest with me, we're through. I think he's just so fed up at this point with trusting people. Because I'm sure Tegan leaving the way she did weighs heavily on him, too. The fact she just was unhappy. You know, it's not fun anymore. I just want out. And shakes hand. That's a terrible way to basically end a friendship. You never want to leave things on those terms. That probably weighed heavy with him, especially in Planet of Fire. I think that might be one of the reasons why he's so, you know, he's got that little bit of a streak of a First Doctor in him, the early grumpy First Doctor in him there, especially when he goes off on Turlo a couple times, like, you need to be straight with me or we're done. Then, of course, he loses Turlo. That's not quite so bad. But I think That might be why he's fighting so hard to save Perry in the caves of Androzani, is all of these other failures are on his mind. Barusa, Adric, Tegan, and you know, think about all the people who died in like Resurrection of the Daleks, which I mean, a lot of doctors have people die in their stuff. Look at Horrifying Rock, but still, all that could be weighing on his mind. So you know, when he's there with Perry, he's like, not this one. Not this one. I am saving this one. If it costs me my life, not again. No more. This far. No further. You know? That might be why he's so hell-bent on saving Perry. Because he really does go through hell in Caves of Androzani. And that might be it. He's like, you know, I don't care if this kills me and I don't regenerate. I'm saving this one. This one life. You know, I'm not going to let this one die. I am saving this one. And that might be why... Even right there at the end when he's carrying her, and you can tell he's just running on fumes at that point. He goes through everything, you know, that cliffhanger, you know. So I'm not going to let you stop me now, is because all of that other stuff is just weighing on him. So he could be kind of the closest we get to the modern doctors in that, where he just takes loss after loss after loss after loss. And that might be kind of the tragedy of the Fifth Doctor, that slowly over the course of his run, these things start to affect him more and add up, and they have a cumulative effect that by Caves of Androzani, he's like, no more. No more. Much like the War Doctor, no more. Like the War Doctor burned out on the Time War, the Fifth Doctor just, you know, he couldn't handle any more losses. And that's fascinating. I really appreciate Icrit pointing that out. Or Isip. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. But I really appreciated him mentioning that, because I really think that's an interesting way to look at the Fifth Doctor. I just hadn't really thought about how tragic his arc could be, because he really does have a lot of losses the way people leave and a lot of the events he goes through. So I thought that was fascinating. I would like to know what you think of this and if you've ever really thought about it. And there goes one of the car alarms. So, yeah, I would like to know what you think of this and if you've ever really thought about the Fifth Doctor as kind of a tragic figure and that he goes through a lot. It's an interesting, different way for me to look at the character that I hadn't really thought about before. So I'd like to know what you think, so comment down below, because it's always nice to hear from you guys. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button. I would certainly appreciate that. I also have a P.O. box down there, and I have a birthday coming up at the beginning of July. I'm recording this on June 26th, and it'll probably go up soon after. But I do have a birthday coming up early. If anybody wants to get me anything, feel free to send it on. A link to my Amazon wish list is down in the description as well. I update that regularly, as is a link to my Amazon UK wish list. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to support what I do. I would appreciate if you'd take a second to look at that. I do try to post an exclusive video just for some of my middle tier and up patrons every week, although sometimes I allow my entry-level patrons access to those too. So check that out. Most importantly though, thank you for watching, and hopefully the power will actually come back on soon.